We are here at the Anochi studios. I think this is the first time we're doing a live interview. We're here with Jeremy Urbach from Geschmack Herring. And what we would like to do today is talk about our lives, talk about Judaism, how we could bring Mashiach. And there's some pretty cool and unique stories that I think are going to come up today. I'm excited to be sitting here with Jeremy. Jeremy is someone that I think he's a big face of the next generation. And what I'm seeing from the limited time that I've seen him over the last year or so is that he's a real force to be reckoned with. He's really someone that wants to go out into the world and make a big difference. And he does it with comedy, does it with being bodacious and courageous and just putting himself out there. And he has a really cool message, and he's a very likable guy. And I think when you hear his story, it's gonna be enlightening and hopefully really inspiring to you. And hopefully you could learn something and take something away from the message that Jeremy has and how he lives his life. So Jeremy, tell me, what made you come up with the name Geschmack Herring and going out into the streets and going into 770 and really causing waves in shoals and in communities across the world? How did this happen? What's your story?
So it actually goes back a long time to high school. Actually, maybe even before, like grade 9 or 10. I was always into making videos. Like regardless, even in high school, I was on the student council, and like I would literally just go around the school asking people like where they're going for the winter break, just random questions, and I would make videos for YouTube. And then after high school, I went to yeshiva, and it was my first exposure to like pure Yiddishkeit, like Pneumius. And I got super into Yiddishkeit and Masorah and everything. And then when I went to school, it was COVID, so there was nothing to do. And essentially, like I wanted to share my Torah with the world, and also like be involved in some extracurricular activity. But everything was closed, so I just had to make something for myself. So I made Geschmack Herring. The name just randomly came to me. I've always loved herring, like always my whole life. And I knew Geschmack was an awesome word. I even spelt it wrong with an I. And I didn't even know that wasn't how you spell it. But now that's how we spell it. You know, it was meant to be, obviously. And yeah, I chose the name randomly. And I started just making little videos of Divrei Torah. Like I would just like read a Mishnah from Pirkei Avos in my dorm room and then just like post it on the Instagram. And then this one Shabbat, these two shluchim from Newmarket came to my school, and they brought herring, and we filmed a herring review, like just randomly. And I also have to say, like at my school, the Chabad let me do whatever I wanted. So like if I wanted to go make a herring video there at like 5 a.m., they would just let me. Like I knew where the key was, and I would just do whatever. And my friends just kept telling me, like, these are really funny, keep doing it. So I kept doing it, and I would get all these interesting guests on the show. And I guess more people found out about it. And then what I started to do was just kind of ask people questions in the field, because I was talking to a bunch of interesting guests, but it was kind of long content. I wanted to like go out in the wild, in the shetach, and just kind of like ask people questions randomly. And those videos just blow up. Everyone likes them. And then I guess shuls got involved is because like we're young and we're passionate about Yiddishkeit. So why wouldn't they? And we've been going around to different shuls. People have been sponsoring their kiddushes with our herring. We now have herring. That like came out of this Instagram too. And yeah, that's kind of the whole story.
Wow. That's beautiful. So when did you, like at what point did you realize, okay, this is something that I want to, it's not just a hobby. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more than just a hobby. When did you notice that? Like what were you feeling when it like hit you? Like what was going on for you?
So it was definitely kind of after the school year, I think May. And it's when adults started to tell me how much they appreciated what I did. Like you and Adam and even a bunch of other adults from the community. They've invited me over. They've promoted me. And like just knowing that the older generation believes in me, it's like, wow, this is legit. And like, I can do this, Wow. That was for sure.
And how did that feel when you started noticing, like, how did that feel for you and your body when adults started calling you up and saying, hey, could you come to our shul and do a little thing over there with our shul, or come to the kiddush? How did that feel for you?
It felt awesome. Like I got to, Geschmack Herring is something I created, and now I get to share with the world, which is what I've always wanted to do. Wow. So it was just awesome.
And you say it's something that you've always wanted to do. Is this something that, as a child, you've ever thought about or looked into or dreamt about of being in the spotlight?
No, but one time I was like 13 and I did something crazy and probably silly. And my sister was like, I hate it so much, but I know you're going to be famous one day, Jeremy. But
Wow.
I never really put too much thought to it. I just kind of I don't know, I just do life.
Wow. And you were mentioning that before that you went to yeshiva.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your journey, about being non-religious, and what inspired you to want to go to yeshiva and to want to start living that lifestyle.
So I went to chat, and I think I was one of 4 people from my grade who went to yeshiva. And I was originally going to go on this program, Nativ, which is like a co-ed conservative program, which is what my older sister did. But when I was speaking to the vice principal, he was like, there's yeshiva. It's a great opportunity for men. And I was looking into yeshiva, and I don't even know why I considered it in the first place, because like back then, like going to yeshiva was something crazy, but I just felt like I had to. Like there was just something like missing, like a crucial part of my identity. All the Torah I was learning was just for school and like for marks, and there were like little source sheets. I never just actually went to the Sfarim. So we found this yeshiva, a Shrenu, and it was like a 3-pillar program. It was 1/3 learning, 1/3 traveling, and 1/3 volunteering. And I had no experience in yeshiva, so I just went to that one because it was the lightest on the learning. But turns out the learning was my favorite part, and I was actually like missing a lot of the other things just so I could stay in the base and learn with the rabbis. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure the best year of my life.
Tell me more.
It just being in Israel, like just surrounded by Rebbeim. The Rebbeim at these yeshivas are unreal people. And especially at mine, they were all really diverse. Like there was a Hasidish one, there was like a Litvish one, there was a Yekisha one, there was Haredi ones. Like my Gemara Rebbe was a Haredi guy who lived in Beit Shemesh with a flip phone, and he's a Baal Tshuva and went to Harvard.
Wow.
And they're just like incredible people. Wow. And just there's something about learning Torah in Israel. It's just like, wow, I'm like fulfilling a 3,000-year-old dream.
Wow.
And like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me a little bit more about your life when it comes to your religion. Were you always religious? Did you remember eating not kosher? Like what's your life journey?
So I grew up like conservative. My parents are traditional, but like growing up we never kept Shabbat. We would eat unkosher dairy. That like little style thing?
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. And even growing up for me, like I was in Jewish day school. I went to RHA. I was always more religious than my friends. Even though like we didn't keep Shabbat and eat fully kosher, I always was. And in grade 10, I went to Israel for a second semester, and I just like put on tzitzis like towards the end of the semester. I don't know why. I thought it was cool. Everyone else in Israel was doing it. And I didn't think much of it. Like I was struggling with keeping Shabbat on and off. And then once I was in yeshiva, I just knew that I was keeping everything, and it was awesome. And obviously when I came back, I went to university. So the Yiddishkeit, took a bit of a dip, and it was hard. But, Baruch Hashem for Chabad, that's like a whole other story. But it kind of just re-sparked and made me like energized me into a new Yid. And yeah, now I'm keeping Shabbos, kosher, and tzitzis. Yeah, filling every day, davening. And yeah, that's kind of my journey.
So to get a little personal right now, how do you see yourself in life? Do you see yourself living an Orthodox lifestyle, and what type of Orthodox lifestyle? And part 2 to that question is, how do you reconcile that with your parents and the way they grew up, because they're not Orthodox, and how are you gonna bridge that relationship that you still respect them, and at the same time you're living what you want to live?
I mean, it's hard when I'm living in their house, but now I'm like leaving, and I'm moving to Israel, going to the army. I don't know what I'll do after that, but I definitely want to be Orthodox in my life. Like this is how I want to live. I'm a Yid, and we have instructions, and I want to live how we're supposed to.
Wow. And how would that show up in the relationship with your parents if they're not Orthodox? Because it's like if you don't live in the same area as them, that means you can't come to their house on Shabbos. You know, what does that look like?
I don't think there'll be lots of problems because right now in my house, like I'm Shomer Shabbat, my mom is Shomer Shabbat, my sisters are. It's just pretty much my dad. That's not. So we're already pretty, religious. So I don't think it'd be a problem.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they'll just come over. Bezrat Hashem, we'll have a huge house, Gishmak Herring Mansion. We can host everyone,
So Jeremy, tell me, I see you're going to the army. You mentioned you go to the army and you have this passion for Israel and Yids and Yidlings, and you have this Gishmak Herring. And where did this passion come from? And what fuels your passion for all of this?
Well, when I was in grade 10, I went to Israel for the semester. I just realized that Israel's home. Like when I'm there, I just feel home. And it's really simple to me. Even when I was in yeshiva, when I've been there over the past few years, it's just home. And Canada isn't home. It's never really felt like home. Everyone like speaks different languages. Like everyone's super different. I don't even know what like everyone is. But in Israel, it's just home. Like one time I was waiting at the bus and this mom was pushing a stroller with 2 kids and holding another kid. And she just handed the baby to me. Like I was wearing tzitzis and a kippah, and she just handed me her baby to take a phone call.
Yeah.
Like only in Israel.
Yeah. It's like we're one family.
Yeah. And I think that it's worth fighting for 1000%. I feel like I'm brothers with every Israeli who's risking their life to fight for our nation's survival. So I feel like I have to do it also.
There's something so beautiful about what you said. It's like the only time that I've seen such relationship is with other Jews. And it's so beautiful how you could see a guy in the airport, or you could be at a bus stop and some mother hands you the baby. It's like we're one family. Yeah, your name is Urbach and my name is Forer and this guy's Klasner, but at the end of the day, that's so beautiful. So as a follow-up, why is that so important to you?
I think Israel is just our home, and our home is worth fighting for. I love being in Israel. It's where our people are from. It's where we deserve to be. It's where we belong. And it's the most important thing for me because I wanna make my life there. I want to make my life in Israel, and I want to just, I don't know, at the end of the day, like it's important to me, but it's also important for all the Yidden, and I care about all the Yidden. I just live and breathe Am Yisrael Chai. That's just like who I am, and I don't think there's a logical explanation. It's just who I am, and like I'll die for Am Yisrael for sure.
Wow. It's that new generation, I think, that you guys like really feel it, like it's not just black and white anymore. Like the world has changed where you're really acting on what you believe in, and you feel the belief and you're acting from your belief system. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's really amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And on that note, could you see yourself living in Israel forever?
I don't really think too far ahead, just because my life is always constantly changing. But I definitely want to like have a family in Israel for sure. Raise kids in Israel, 100%. But North America will always be part of my life. There are tons of Yidden here, and I can't abandon them. So I'll definitely be back.
And how do you envision, or what do you think of long term for Gishmak Herring?
I think it'll for sure keep growing. I don't know. I have no idea. But I mean, when I started it 4 years ago, it was just Divrei Torah, and then it involved eating herring and then reviewing other foods. And I don't know. The answer is who knows? But I hope it'll be bigger, and I hope it'll inspire more people. And ultimately, I hope it brings Mashiach, because at the end of the day, that's what I want to do. Exactly. I just want to bring Mashiach.
What is your mission?
My mission is to bring Mashiach, 100%. Get people excited about being Jewish. Like being a Jewish is really cool. And I feel like when people in my generation and younger people, they look at Judaism and they're like, oh, like I have to wear a long skirt. Nah, you get to wear a long skirt, and it's awesome. And all the mitzvot are legendary. And that's a message I want to convey. And when people are excited about doing mitzvot, hopefully Mashiach will come.
So my next question is, what do we have to do? Like what? So you're saying we have to do mitzvot, but what other message could you tell us that we have to do, or we could tap into, or an energy that we need to bring Mashiach?
Definitely all Jews need to love each other. We all need to love each other. That's a huge thing we need to do.
Right. Wow. And how does that look like in life, in real time?
Like, let's say you're going to Savers and one person's parked in two spots. Instead of like being angry and be like, oh, this Yid, just be like, I'm angry, but this is my brother and I love him so much, even though they took two parking spots. I think that's what it has to look like. We have to like look past the small inconveniences to see the bigger picture, that we're persecuted all over the world and all we have is each other.
Right.
So we can't hate each other.
Right. And I think especially in a time like today, since October 7th, I think what the world is showing us is that we have to come together.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're frum or you're religious or you're Orthodox or you're conservative or you're Reform. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like it's just labels. Like why do we even have to label each other?
Yeah. Like during the Holocaust, no one cared, which Jew was wearing a kippah and which Jew wasn't wearing a kippah.
Exactly.
They're all just brothers.
Yeah.
And we just need to tap into that.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it always has to be a bad thing
Yeah.
that forces us into it. But I think when we realize that it's the proper way, then Mashiach will come.
I think the world is at a place where it's evolving much faster than it's ever evolved historically. And what I mean by that is what used to take 100 years to evolve, today could take less than a year. That's how fast the world is moving. And I think the power of the younger generation is that they could tap into that evolution. They know how to evolve with the world. And if the older generation doesn't tap into that, they can learn from the younger generation. And that to me is very Mashiach-dik. It's very Mashiach consciousness. And when October 7th happened, I think it was, sadly, like you said, it was a reminder that we need to come together. By coming together and respecting each other and loving each other, we're going to enter into a new Mashiach consciousness phase where we're going to start feeling more. We're going to start noticing more. We're going to start acting more. And things are going to become less black and white and much more colorful. Life is going to become more three-dimensional. We're going to start, and we're already seeing miracles. We're seeing evolutions. We're seeing many people change. We're seeing communities change. People are tapping into something that's truth. Right now, the only choice we have is truth or evil. There is no middle ground. It used to be that there was a middle ground. But over the last few months, I think what the world was telling us is you got to choose. You got to choose a side. You can't be. And it's everything right now. It's politics. Since when did politics mean that if I'm Republican and my brother-in-law is Democrat, that we can't still get together for a nice barbecue? But in today's day and age, everything is so polarized that in my own family, if me and my brother hold different political views, we almost stop talking. And there's many families like that. And that's the evil side rearing its ugly head.
Yeah.
And the counterbalance to that is like what you're saying, is have absolute love for one another.
Yeah.
And it's the little things in life. I love that.
My name is Adam Mordechai Klasner. That's what I go by. And we're just going to talk about some more things. So one of the things I want to focus on with you, I really want to understand more about is, you talked about with Nachman, how you had this passion when you were a little kid that, you got noticed for something that you did by your sister. And she says, I hate to say it, but you're going to become famous one day. And so what happened in that moment? What was going on for you? Because obviously you remember that. When we remember things, it leaves an imprint inside of us.
Yeah.
What was going on for you when your sister told you that? If you can remember back to that.
I don't remember. I think I made a joke or something. Like it was during the 2016 American election. And I think I did something at school, something silly. I don't remember. But it was probably really funny and creative. And yeah, I don't know, my older sister just said that to me and I just remember it.
And when she said that to you, it left an impression, like you felt something.
I remember, yeah.
And maybe you just go back to that moment. Like, how old were you?
Probably 17.
17, and
16, 17.
so that's like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm okay to say your age.
Yeah, you can. 23.
Okay, so 23 years old, 6 years ago, and your sister says something to you like you're going to be famous. And today, I mean, that's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
So it obviously planted something. It impressed something upon me that one day I'm actually so she left something there. What was that? If you can remember back, that 17-year-old teenager who was just doing something which she thought was creative but sort of stupid, fueled this whole thing now where you have 15,000 people or whatever it is, 14,000, 13.6.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Growing every day, bro.
Following you, and like you have a message. So something happened then.
I think I always just wanted to spread my message with the world. And like my whole life, I was just trying to do that in whatever way I could. And now that I'm finished school, I could literally do whatever I want. Like I'm not bound by school. Like out in high school, I would just get into trouble all the time. And like all the programs I would do, I would just get in trouble because I wasn't following the rules. But now I could just do whatever I want. And I could just spread whatever I want to spread. And I could control 100% of it.
So what is the message that you're trying to spread for all these years?
Just like life is awesome. Enjoy it. Don't take things too seriously.
Okay. Those are like slogans. Yeah. But I mean, like, what is Jeremy Urbach, since that 17-year-old kid continued into Geschmack Herring, and now it's like this big following? What is Jeremy Urbach's message to the world? What is he trying to spread?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Come on, let's go.
It's just like...
So 1 second. Okay. So I'll take you there. So if you could close your eyes, close your eyes. And I want you to imagine being that 17-year-old boy, and your sister says that was annoying, but you're going to make something of it yourself. You're going to be famous. How did you feel? What were you feeling in your body?
Felt like fired up.
Yeah.
Felt fired up. I was like, okay, like we're going to make, like my older sister believes in me, and she's obviously a role model of mine. So I guess it felt good.
Okay, now I'm going to take you even further back.
Should I keep my eyes closed?
Keep your eyes closed.
It's just a game changer having my eyes closed.
Yeah. How far back does it go that you felt that fire in your belly? How far back? When was the last time before 17 did you remember feeling that fire in your belly, fired up, like someone believes in me, I'm going to change it, I'm going to change the world, even I'm going to change my class, I'm going to make something happen? What age? Take me back.
I feel like I don't remember my childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, stay with 17.
Yeah, well, wait, what was the question again? How did it feel?
So, that same feeling that you're feeling with this being fired up and someone believing in you, did you ever feel it like by your bar mitzvah or when you were 10 years old or 11 years old, or like that someone, do you remember an incident that someone believed in you and you just did something or you knew that you would be something great?
No, I think that was like probably the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does it feel right now? We'll open our eyes in a sec, but how does it feel right now to feel that experience?
It's like it feels great. It feels like rewarding and fulfilling.
And I know we're doing this live, so people are seeing this, but just, so there's a part of you that's thinking that, but just feel into that, because I think the reason why I'm asking you, it's important to remember these moments in life, because these moments, you could open your eyes now, these moments could anchor us. And if we could always know that I could go back to this anchor, so even when I'm feeling down about something, then I know there's a place that I could visit. In my imagination, I could go back to that space and say, hey, I felt really powerful. I felt fired up. Someone believed in me. And you know what? I need to visit that space to get reinvigorated. And sometimes we need to do that in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. That was deep.
Thank you.
Yeah. The eyes closed was a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was scared I was gonna cry on camera. But I don't really cry.
See, you're the new generation. The new generation, there's no tears to cry.
Yeah.
Meaning our generation, we grew up there was reasons to cry. Our parents were nervous at times. School was tough.
Well, I think now we have new reasons to cry.
You do, but I think your parents were more emotionally in tune than my parents were. Like the people that grew up post-Holocaust, they shut off their emotions. And I think the next group of parents, like the people that were born in the 70s and the 80s, they're a little bit more in touch with their emotions. They're more emotionally in tune. So their kids are going to be even more in tune with their emotions. So
emotions, like as in terms of Yiddishkeit?
Emotions, no, emotions in terms of I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm happy. Just more in tune with that.
I feel like I'm not really in tune with my emotions.
I think you're so in tune with it, you just can't label it, but I think you are in tune.
If you could distill it down to one message that your sister told you, which actually, if
I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit here and just say that the day that your sister told you that, it was so deeply impressed in your whole nervous system, everything about you, that it was a moment that you'll never forget. What's a moment that we never forget? A moment that we never forget in life, and we talked about this yesterday, we were learning, is I was fully present. The powers of really who I am, present to the bigness of who I am, the infinity of who I am and who I can become as a person, that godly spark inside of me just woke up. And it was a strong belief in myself, belief in mission. And now actually you're doing that. You're giving that to the world. You are giving that message to the world. Believe in yourself. Believe in the power of the godly soul and the expressions of it. The Torah, the mitzvahs, the stuff that you're putting out there is someone believed in me, so I'm going to show you how to believe in yourself. Does that make sense? Do you resonate to that message?
I don't. I feel like in the moment it was more like just her making a comment, and then now, like, as I'm getting a lot of followers on Instagram, it's kind of like, hey, she said this all the way back when I was 16. And it's like, who knew? It's like prophecy.
Is it prophecy? Or in that moment that she told you that, did something wake up inside of you to become the person that you are?
No, I think it was always destined to become this.
Of course. But along destiny, I'm going to meet certain people that are going to wake up my truth. So when you said before, like old people, they woke it up for me, like when they started believing me. Well, I think that's a similar thing. There's an older person in your life.
Yeah, maybe.
That's believing in you.
Yeah.
And then just it keeps on tapping at that. Like some of these older, wiser people are believing in me as a leader, and that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I can get in touch with that feeling and that goodness, the more it's going to fuel me to go out and to spread the light and to spread the world this message. Which, again, if we're going back to the core message, what is your core message? What are you really trying to tell the world?
Just Am Yisrael Chai. That's the core message.
So Am Yisrael Chai means long live Israel, or like it will live forever, but
no, like long live us, the Jewish people.
The Jewish people. Okay, so we can live long, and then we can live while we're in this world in a way that we can really feel like we're connected to the sense of mission, of pride of who we are. And I think that's a lot of what you're trying to do. You're trying to set that people should be proud of who they are.
Yeah.
People should stand up for who they are.
100%. And we're Am Yisrael, and like you got to stand up. This year on campus, there were protests all the time, like for the Palestinian, for their riots. And I just felt like I had to go and just scream Am Yisrael Chai in their faces, just to like show them that I'm not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's it. Just
I'm not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. I'm not going anywhere. And you want the rest of the world to know that I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I want other people to start waking up and, realizing that we're here to stay and becoming strong.
What happens if everyone wakes up?
And we bring Mashiach.
Yeah, so that's the goal. So Mashiach is what exactly?
It's the realization of our true mission. All the Yidden are going to be in Israel, where we belong. And it's just all going to make sense. The Torah, like Hashem gave Moshe the Torah, but the end is Mashiach. Like it's all meant for Mashiach.
All meant
like
for
it's
Mashiach.
like it says this is going to happen to you people. You're going to come back into this land after being exiled. And the end of that is Mashiach. And we're almost there.
Right. You feel it. You can feel it in the world.
Yeah.
It's like October 7th happens. What happens October 7th? It should have been some of the darkest and worst memories, and should have actually broken us as a people and left us down in the ground feeling helpless. I mean, when you think about it, we are, and the story continues, the narrative continues, we're a nation of the few that's always taken on the many. How many Jews are there in the world? There's 16 million Jews, right? And it's not a lot. And the idea of Mashiach consciousness, like what you're saying of bringing Mashiach, is that the truth doesn't need to be from 1 billion people or 2 billion people. The truth is so loud, like a little bit of light expels a lot of darkness. Truth is so loud that you only need to give it to the few. It almost shows a more. It almost shows how valid the truth is
And valuable, because it's only 100%.
So we're the keepers of that, and we got to be proud of that. And Mashiach consciousness is revealing the truth, because when we're in Gullus, the truth is in exile. And so when you go out into the streets and you go out into the world, and you're lifting people up after such a hard, difficult experience what the Jewish people have experienced this year, you're actually waking up the Mashiach inside of them. That powerful light that you go out and say, no. You're not going to take that away from me. That part of me that no one can ever take away from you. You're waking that up inside of people. You're changing people's lives. Can you tell me a story about someone's life that you changed, that you felt like from what you're doing, you've seen, because you've been doing it for a bit now, that you've seen a difference in people?
Yeah, so this one kid, I met a Gishmak Herring fan who told me he only started wearing tzitzis when he saw me wearing tzitzis in a video. And at that moment, I was like, okay, I have a real impact here. And yeah, there's tons of times like where I find out people know me and like they're in a completely different community. I don't know how they would have known, because it's all on social media mainly. But that was just cool to know that we're making waves and impacting. Also, someone told me who works, I guess, at one of the religious schools in the city, that all the students just call each other Yidlings now. And like that to me is pretty funny, because that's just something that totally just came to me.
Yeah, what is that? What is that Yidlings thing?
Well, it's like I've always been a fan of Star Wars, and I've always like seen the connection between the Jedi and Jews, because like they're the forces of light and like the keepers of ancient wisdom, but they're also like really cool warriors that are saving the world. And the kids they train are called younglings. So Yidlings.
So you literally took something from Star Wars and transformed it, because everything's being able to see God in everything.
Yeah.
So you're on a mission to show people that they're Jedis, basically, that they're powerful heroes and they hold the light.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're like a really ancient tradition.
I have a friend, a good friend. He lives out in Florida, and he said this is what he puts his kid to sleep with, is these Geschmack Herring videos, because there's not too much good Jewish comedy type stuff out there. And
there's also not a lot of Jewish stuff in general. Like when people are scrolling on Instagram Reels, it's so gullus. And then they see a Geschmack Herring video. It's like 1 minute of like, this is like kind of Kedusha.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's not kind of Kedusha. It is Kedusha.
Yeah, it's Kedusha, I guess.
Yeah, you're spreading Kedusha.
Yeah, wow.
You're spreading holiness.
Yeah, and I'm just having fun.
You're an ambassador of the sacred light that God gave us. Can you say that? Can you actually say? I want to hear you say that.
I'm an ambassador of the sacred light that God gave us.
Now put your hand down and say it with full, like, just without moving, taking a deep breath, and recognize the light that you hold inside of
Can
you.
we repeat the statement again?
I don't even remember what I said.
I am an ambassador.
I'm an ambassador of the sacred light that God gave to the world.
I am an ambassador of the sacred light that God gave to the world.
And I'm teaching others to know that as well.
Okay, one second. When you do that,
Ooh. No. I don't think he should look at the camera. I think he should look at me, because then it's too planned.
It'll be like dramatic though.
First of all, that is
Okay,
something
fine.
that you could use.
I don't really like talking about myself that much.
I know, but you know what?
It comes across
People
as like a
have
bit
to
of
know
selfish.
what you're doing, because that's going to take it to the next level. People need to know your why.
But why can't other people just tell me that I'm?
Because I told you.
Yeah.
I told you. Now you're just saying it. So maybe you want me to just tell you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The way I see you and the way I've been seeing what you're doing is you're literally holding this strong presence of what God is in this world by being an ambassador of the sacred light that God has given every single one of us. And that's why I feel connected to you, because even though I don't also like to talk about myself, I feel like that's what I'm doing. And it feels real to me. Like when I go to sleep at the end of every night or after I finish what I'm doing, I feel good about what I'm doing with my life and with the message that I'm putting out to the world.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got to teach everyone.
I feel that also. Yeah.
Like I go to bed happy. I wake up happy. I wake up excited for this. Yeah, there's struggle. We all go through struggles and different things that happen, but you're giving that to people. You're giving the belief in people that they should feel that they are also that ambassador of the sacred light that God has given us. Yeah. And it's really powerful. It's really cool. And the world looks scary. The way things are unfolding, it's like it looks really scary. And when there's fear and when there's terror in the air, it's trying to take us away from that light so much. It's trying to take us away from that light so much. So it swarms the media, and it's forcing us to find our own light inside. Like we have to do that. That's the only way. And then you found that because someone believed in you, and the people keep on believing in you, and you keep on then waking up that inner belief that you have for yourself, and you're giving that to others. It's amazing. It's not just about the herring. We're never just about the donuts. Amazing donuts. Woo!
3499 on Bathurst Street.
There we go. Name drop. But it's someone is giving us donuts, and we love that because donuts are amazing.
Everyone loves donuts.
Everyone loves donuts.
Yeah. Imagine not liking donuts.
That's like we gotta taste. We not only gotta feel the sweetness inside, we gotta taste the sweetness of what God has given us.
We gotta taste Mashiach.
Yeah, amazing donuts is like Mashiach consciousness.
Yeah.
Whoever said that people haven't bonded over some donuts?
Yeah, well, every time I go there, I bond with everyone in line. That's for sure.
Yeah, but like, have you ever had a bad donut chill with somebody?
No.
Like, do you ever remember having a donut with someone and it was a terrible experience?
No.
So I'm talking about. So so you got to stand behind things
100%.
that bring out the sweetness of who we are.
100%.
Yeah, but this idea of your upbringing when you were describing it before resembles a lot of my upbringing, where we had so much of the traditions and traditional, and we'd have the Friday night meals together, and we do things it was like almost like, okay, my parents took me this far, and I continued to hold that torch and take it farther, which is what they wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. They gave me that strong foundation, and then there's people along the way that's like, it's almost like Hashem sends the messengers. That's what he does. He sends messengers that along the way, anything that maybe we need a little bit more of a boost from our upbringing, our family, sends these like angels along the way that help us, whether it's believe in ourselves or materialize more of who we want to be. And we have to be able to see those messengers. So one of the connections that we have in that point is the connection that we have. We both went to Chabad of Western. Shout out. We did. And a lot has transformed for me from going there. I wasn't necessarily so proud of the degree and all that stuff that I did, but I don't necessarily think, especially with what's going on in universities today, I don't even need to be so proud of a university degree necessarily from, I call it Chabad of Western because I don't even really go to the university so much. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But I went to Chabad. That was a place where, I had done my trip to Israel. I came back and Chabad was there. So Rabbi Silberberg, Rabbi Mordechai, Tiki, some people call him. Mm-hmm. We had that connection. And I'll just share a quick thing about me, but I want to hear from you, is that for me, what he did for me when I came back was he gave me this belief in myself, which is what you were talking about before. He took me down to the basement in the Chabad house, and there was this picture, this like massive picture of the Rebbe. And he said to me, "You see that picture? You see that the Rebbe?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "When he was thinking of this Chabad house, he had you in mind." And it literally like shook my, like that felt like
I totally resonate with that.
such a true message, even though it was like a wonky idea, like where did like this voodoo spiritual stuff, like that I wasn't aware of. I hadn't really worked on developing or known of this concept, but it just felt so real. It was a feeling in my body, like, oh my gosh. And in that moment, like something just woke up. And if I go even further back, like I had connections earlier to Chabad from my Zaidi, but I want to hear about you and what, as we talked about people believing in you along the way, like what woke up for you from being in Western?
So
Chabad there.
I would say pretty much just woke up me. When I was younger, I was taught in my institutions to like go out and be a leader and think creatively. And then I went to yeshiva and it was like big on learning the Masorah and, learning. But at Western, Chabad, it's just going out there and like spreading Judaism. And that's exactly what I do now on Gishmak Herring. So like I learned it all. If you talk about messenger, for sure, Rabbi Mordechai Shlita, Rabbi Mordechai Tzvi ben Arav Yaakov Yosef Shlita.
Well, I didn't know that much.
I was the gabbai for 4 years. I think him and his kids were huge messengers because like I would go out with them on Mivsoyim and like ask people if they were Jewish on a university campus. And like if I can do that and like I could just kind of talk to anyone.
Wow.
And that was all from Chabad, just like going out there and being a leader and kind of combine the two different philosophies in my life of Yiddishkeit and learning and also like being innovative and, changing the world.
Yeah, it's crazy because what the Rebbe instilled, the Lubavitch Rebbe instilled was that I'm going to send out these shluchim, I'm going to send out these messengers. They're going to go out into the world and you're going to go into these random campuses and places in the world and you're going to go and wake people up. Yeah. And the way that they wake people up is that they felt that the torch was passed from the Rebbe to them and they hold the light and they're these powerful carriers of the light because the Rebbe was just full-blown light. Like that's all you can't really describe what the Rebbe was, but feeling it so much that today, even after he's gone, truth lasts forever. Yeah. So the fact that there's more shluchim when the Rebbe passed means that the message is true. It's even proving more of the truth. But the Rebbe wanted that not everyone's going to be a shaliach in the way that you're going to go out and be a Chabad shaliach in a shul or a campus, whatever. But you have to know that wherever you are in life, you're a shaliach. So the shluchim are the messengers of that message. Mm-hmm. And we both picked it up at Chabad Western. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's part of our...
Yeah. Well, I just graduated.
I'm still figuring out how I can finish my graduation. But no. I think honestly I'm one credit short. That's what
really?
I think it was. I was in Israel and I was doing this Asia Torah trip and I just didn't finish this one exam.
That's great. Never finish.
I never finished.
Who needs it?
And honestly, it's scary to put it out there. Maybe we're not going to put this part out there, or maybe we are. Maybe we're just going to go with it. But I went there not for the Bachelor of Sciences, because that's not what I'm doing with my life. I went there to meet the Rebbe. I went there to meet the Lubavitch Rebbe because what the Lubavitch Rebbe did for me was he filtered that message all the way through my shaliach to me that believe in yourself, you hold the light, you have something to offer the world. And now I'm doing it in my own way.
Yeah, literally.
And so are you.
Yeah.
What Rabbi Mordechai did was for me is he had no agenda. In fact, when I was becoming a little bit more involved in Chabad and I was trying to run faster than I walked, if that's even a saying, but just I was moving. I wanted to move. He wouldn't let me put on a black hat. He wanted me to take things slow and make it a more internal process, but really accepted me for where I'm at. A lot of people in life, they want you to become like them. Mm-hmm. They want you to follow one way. It's very narrow.
Yeah.
But Chabad is the idea of this certain achdus which exists where I want you to be yourself. I don't necessarily want you to be somebody that I want you to be or that I think you should be. I want you to know who you really are from yourself. It's the truest choice in relationship is to be able to find it for yourself. I think that's a lot of what the message of Chabad is. And so he didn't have an agenda with me. He didn't say, you need to do this or you need to follow that. Or it was like sort of when I came to him and I asked more, it's like, okay, he was a guide. in what I'll read it was after. What about for you?
Yeah, I never felt like he ever told me to learn this or do this ever. Yeah, sometimes we would just be chilling, and then he'd say, "Jeremy, let's go learn the daily Rambam," and then we just go learn at the table, and it could be sometimes we could learn someone else, sometimes we could learn nothing, and just like make sandwiches in the kitchen. But yeah, I never felt like I had to be a certain type of yid. He just kind of said like, I don't know, he pretty much just let me do whatever I wanted, and it was beautiful, you know. Because we brought tons of people to Chabad. And when I was president, like I would sometimes make a certain graphic or something, then like let's say the rabbi would say like, Jeremy, you can't post this. Like let's say one time I made a graphic and the Rebbe, I put pit vipers on the Rebbe. This was in my third year, and that was really bad. Like pit viper, like sunglasses on the Rebbe on the graphic. For it was like homecoming Shabbos. It was like Foco Shabbos. And I got in trouble for that. There was also another time where I was playing football before. This isn't about the rabbi. This is about Nechami, God bless her, and who's the Rebbitzin. And me and the kids, Levi and Shalom, were playing football before Shabbos dinner, and I like had too many times because like we were pre-gaming, Shabbos at university. That's what we do. And I like fell into the table and knocked all the chicken on the ground. And Nechami was just like super forgiving.
Wow.
They're incredible people. It was like all the chicken for the whole meal.
It's probably because she wanted to eat herring instead.
Yeah, and they would get herring all the time. The food there is it's just an amazing place. Yeah. Yeah, so we were talking about how the Rebbe inspired these shluchim, and the shluchim inspire us, and it's all done in different ways. Like the Rebbe, he said he was just light, so that was just his way of transferring his message. But with Rabbi Mordechai, his way was in Chabad Western and just making such an awesome home and just trying to reach as many Jews as possible and just being like an awesome character that people love. And he spread that light to me. And the way I do it is completely different because, he doesn't use social media and I do. And even though I'm doing it in a more secular way, it's still the same light because it's just been transferred from Rabbi to me, to the Yidlings.
It kind of shows that God is everywhere.
Yeah, and that our Masorah is literally still alive.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where it goes to. Like, you're always going to be able to find light in everything. It doesn't mean you should go searching in the dumpsters. Yeah. But
okay, well, Adam, tell me about how you grew up.
Oh, how I grew up? No, I don't like that question. Yeah, I'm saying I really
like. Were you always from?
Were
you always like?
No, so that's why I said I think we have a lot in common. That I had those traditions intact. Like my parents, literally, Jewish education was everything. Celebrating the traditions. We built a sukkah. Like, how many people build sukkahs today that aren't necessarily from Orthodox? It's very rare, but we had a sukkah. Yeah. I slept in the sukkah. I watched TV in the sukkah. We hung out in the sukkah. It's not all about sukkahs, but that actually, now I'm realizing, is a huge part of my identity to Judaism because I love sukkahs is my favorite holiday. But so my parents did give a good feeling towards Judaism and Yiddishkeit, and that was very important to them. And were they all the way from? I mean, no, but there was movements that my father had taken in his life, and that took me along my own movements of like carrying that torch as I described. And then a lot of family has followed me. Like my father today, he's remarried because my mother passed, but he's keeping Shabbos kosher. Like he davens every day. Like it's a beautiful progression. And his father, at the end of his life, was starting to put on tefillin and get back into things, even though he lost everyone in the Holocaust. And it was through Chabad. And so that was like the seeds planted at a very young age. And so tradition was very important. And then, life took me into intense moments. Things happen when you really wake up and you're really shooken or shaked. And then it's like a do or die almost. Like I'm hit my core of who I am. Like people were dying or they were people getting sick, and I hit my core. What really matters? Who's really able to take care of me and be there for me in these real deep broken situations? Like they say, min ha-meitzar karasika, like from the meitzar, the squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when we're in those really squeezed moments, that's when we call it to God. Unfortunately,
Mitzar.
right? The meitzar was
Mitzrayim.
Mitzrayim, the original.
Gullus.
Today it's October 7th. Today you can feel it in Gullus in every moment that the truth is in exile. That whatever people are posting today, they can literally will say this is the truth, and they'll literally reverse the story. And so we're ambassadors of the truth. That's what we're doing over here. And so, and I've always felt that. I've always felt that consistent message throughout my whole life is that I hold a certain light that is the truth. I feel very connected to it, and I need to spread that to the world.
Well, what's a moment where you felt, the first time you felt, like, I'm doing this now, like I'm making an impact on the world?
Like when in this type of stuff, well, my first big awakening where I felt like life could be different, because what really stunted me in life was losing people that I love. That was very hard for me to overcome. Like, I don't see another side of this. And what gets trapped when we get into a really intense moment in life is the emotional experience. The emotional experience gets trapped because I don't want to feel that. If I don't feel that thing that I don't want to feel, then I can disassociate and live in an alternative reality. Like, you know, some people say, like, if someone's dying, I know this is getting pretty intense over here, but whatever, I'm just going to go.
It's almost Shabbos. We'll be fired up soon.
Yeah. So if someone's really sick or they're dying, I don't want to face the pain of never having to be able to be in a physical relationship with them, to touch them, to hug them. So I have to not feel that, because it would just crush me. It would kill me. I feel like I would die instantly if I had to really feel the impact that would have on my existence. Right? I'm very much limited to this existence. But if I could feel through that, if I could go back into the feeling and know that I can, what I'm doing when I'm feeling a feeling, them going through something, is I'm saying I'm much more than that. I can go through this. There is much more to me than just in the relationship, than the physical existence of this person, which I was forced to do when my mother passed away. That was really when things, that was like 5 years ago, that really, really made me realize that there was more to the relationship, because I have to believe that there's more to a relationship than the physical body, which is what we're told in Judaism, is that there's a whole spiritual element, there's the neshama, there's the soul. A lot of people they know that as a concept, where they would say, yeah, the soul exists and there's a dimension above this, but they don't feel that in their life because they're stuck in the Meitzar. So in the Meitzar is where we can re-access what was broken. And it's by feeling through it. So I'm not even remembering what your question was.
I asked you, like, what moment made you realize that you were having an impact?
So I went on my first workshop years ago, which eventually that whole program was labeled as a cult and thrown into Chayrim, like ostracized. And,
oh, damn.
And
really in the Meitzar.
It's and for good reasons, that whatever needed to happen. But it woke something up inside of me that said, there's another way. And it all happened because I opened up to certain feelings that I didn't want to open up to for a lot of my life. It stuffed them and stored them inside, which is what we do. And trauma happens in isolation. I know we're just getting into this topic, but trauma happens in isolation. So as a result of trauma happening in isolation, a lot of my healing started the path of healing to be able to believe in myself again and go out and change the world, was done in a community type setting or a group type setting. Because what the group energy holds and it's catering towards is what our three most fundamental needs are, which is love, belonging, and
Damn, you remember this from your university days?
I think I left my university.
This is like some psychology stuff.
No. Love, belonging, and safety.
Huh.
What we need in order to thrive. This workshop happened 11 years ago for me. It was ready when I was married. It was ready when I had a bunch of kids, and I felt stuck, and I was emotionally blocked or like not really enjoying my life. But what we need as people is love, belonging, and safety. If we have love, belonging, and safety, we can work through the traumas, because trauma says it has to happen in isolation. I had to shut off, and I have to live with this in myself, by myself. No one can help me. It's too much for me. So when we come back into relationship, when we're coming back into a space of relationship with other people, it helps us come out of that stuckness in life. That was what was created for me. That really was my biggest breakthrough moment till this day in my life, and continues to be. And there's short breakthroughs along the way, or small breakthroughs along the way. But that was by far for me that I can identify as the most impactful moment of my life. And it literally shifted everything. Today I'm doing this full time because of that. I'm creating the space that was created for me that I know to be so healing.
And you've probably helped lots of people.
We've helped approximately 1,600 people, whether it be workshops that I was previously a part of, or this new thing that we've built, which is called Anochi, which Anochi is the idea of who am I? Like, who am I really? So I'm helping people get to, or me and Nachman are helping people get to a place where they can recognize the greatness of who they are, the power of who they are. And a lot of what you're doing with Geschmack Herring is just spreading a positive, good, upbeat message that people can feel alive again. Yeah. So many of us have felt dead because of what happened in the world, or what happened to me as a result of what happened in the world. Because trauma is not what happens to you, is what happens inside of you as a result of what happens to you. And trauma happens in isolation, where I say, I no longer want to feel this. I don't want to be a part of this. So I have to go into an alternative reality in my mind and believe something about what I think life is. But really, there's so much deeper stuff going on. There's so much deeper stuff going on. And I have to be able to re-access that, because that's where my existence was locked. Right? The Meitzar is where our existence was locked.
When I was at university, I wasn't really too familiar with Chabad and Hasidus. I kind of just learned more as I just got older. And what exactly is Hasidus, essentially?
Hasidus, wow.
Yeah.
You know what they call Hasidus? They say it's Radla.
Radla?
Say it's Reishis de lo Yisiada. It's like the beginning of the unknown.
Damn.
It's charting unknown waters.
Really?
And they say that in its source, God's wisdom, what's the greatest level of wisdom that you can attain? It says, Tachas yediyah shalei neidach. The ultimate goal of wisdom is to not know, is to know how much we don't know, of meeting God in infinite space. Because if you think that you can know God, you haven't really met God.
Yeah, because you can't know.
So Hasidus it's a portal into seeing God's bigness, so to speak, however you would describe that. But it's by realizing how much you don't know. When you're on a mountain, or you're climbing a mountain, you feel like the sprinkle of the rain on one side, but on the other side there must be that huge storm. So the little sprinkle that we get allows us to recognize the storm on the other side, but we never get to really experience that, because experiencing that is infinite. And if you can experience it, or you can grasp it, it's no longer infinite.
So it's just I thought it was just living with the realization that Hashem is everything.
Well, when you learn Hasidus, you're definitely able to see the world through God's eyes. Yeah. So it's different vision. It's
what type of Hasidus do you learn?
Chabad Hasidus.
So you read the Tanya a lot?
So the Tanya was the first sefer I ever bought. It was interesting. In Jerusalem, I was at the Kotel, and some guy put on film with me, and I was at a point in my life where I was searching the whole story, but he put on film, and I said, what book should I buy? So I bought the Tanya, and I only opened it up 2 years later.
Was it just Hebrew or English? That's it?
It was the lessons in Tanya. It was done very well.
Yeah, I know that one.
But I only fully dove into it 2 years later. I had the book. I almost traded it, actually. My roommate wanted to trade me a Tanya for the Chumash, just a regular Chumash. And I was almost about to do it. And little did I know that this would become the ammo that I used to live my whole life today.
I remember when I was in yeshiva, we had I was saying how all the rabbis were super diverse. We had this one night Seder rabbi who was a Nazir, who became frum by traveling all over the world. And I remember he told this one story where he went to Nepal for a year with no food and just a Tanya and a Chumash. So that just like made me, I don't know, just left an impact about how cool the Tanya was. But I only started reading it this year because at Chabad, we started like a weekly Tanya study class with Rabbi Yossi Swed Shlita. And yeah, we just meet in my apartment and learn Tanya with the boys. And it's crazy, like life-changing stuff. It's awesome to read.
Yeah, it's like the spiritual psychology of the soul.
And it's like practical. It's really practical too.
Very practical, because it has to be. The whole idea of Chabad is that I'm supposed to be able to understand God, so to speak, in the limited version of who I am.
Yeah, tell me, what's the message behind Anochi workshops and helping Jewish men? Like, what's it all about?
So at Anochi, we've realized in the world today, a lot of Jewish men are struggling with certain issues. And what Anochi is all about is about giving a place, a sacred space for Jewish men to figure their issues out, to face their triggers, to face the challenges that we're living with today. And there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of people have anxiety. A lot of people are having issues in their relationship with their spouses. There's people that are having a lot of financial issues. There's people that are having identity issues. People are really asking questions these days. Who am I? You know, I was brought up a certain way, and what's the truth? And people are looking for this. And at Anochi, we're giving people the dignity of finding themselves, of finding ways and tools in how to deal with their anxiety and how they could go home and be an amazing husband, an amazing father. And we help them find it inside themselves.
So what does that look like in reality? Like what's the guy like before and after Anochi?
So I could say for myself, I used to fight with my wife a lot. Like we could go many nights in a row where we got into big disagreements. And today, I don't remember the last time we got into a disagreement. Yes, we have. When I say disagreement, I mean like a fight where we were upset at each other.
Wow.
So we have disagreements, obviously, because we're humans and we have different opinions, but we respect each other. We really respect what we each bring to the table. And I've seen it with a lot of people that have come to the workshop. One story that's coming to mind, I got a phone call from somebody, and he says, I want to come on your workshop. And I said to him, why would you want to come on my workshop? He says, because I don't know what my neighbor's doing, but whatever he's doing, he's transformed his life, and I want to come on the workshop.
Oh, wow. But how did it make you stop fighting with your wife so much? Like, what changed?
So what? Yeah, good question. What the workshop has given me is tools on how to deal with my emotions.
Huh.
So a trigger, when I get triggered by someone, that's triggering an emotion inside of me. Mm-hmm. By having the tools and practicing these tools on a regular basis, it's helped me get over certain triggers. So now there's less things in life that trigger me. So it used to be when my wife would say anything to me, it would trigger me. So now that I've worked through that and those things don't trigger me, for example, if she says to me, hey, could you stay home tonight while I go out with my friends? It used to be a trigger. And the trigger was, what about me? You don't care about me. I'm a nothing and you're just using me. But today, I'm not triggered by that. So my wife asked that, I see it for what it is. And of course she should go spend time with friends. She has the right to do that, just like I have the right to do that. And she needs to do that. As a woman, she needs to go and recharge with women. As a man, I need to go and recharge with men. So what the workshop has helped me do is not only give me the tools to get over these triggers, but also to help me make better distinctions in life and to see life for what it is and not through the lenses of my triggers.
My limiting beliefs and my traumas. And
that's like a great ad for Anochi workshops. If you want to get rid of your triggers, you won't be triggered by them anymore.
There's a lot of people have anxiety. I think the world has more anxiety today than the world has ever had historically.
Damn.
It's funny because you would think to yourself, how does that make sense? We're living in a world where everything's at my fingertips, and we're living really in a world of absolute abundance. Like, compare our world today to 200 years ago, to 1,000 years ago, to 2,000 years ago, even to 50 years ago. It's a different world. And yet, with all the abundance, we have anxiety. And we're hitting a time in the world where anxiety is hitting a brick wall. It used to be, if I have anxiety, I could pay for something, I could distract myself, I could do something about it. And the world is coming to a place where there's nothing you can do about it. We actually have to deal with anxiety head on. And people are struggling with that. And when someone has anxiety and they go home and they want to be a good father, and they want to be a good husband, and they want to be a good son or a friend, they don't know how to show up at home. They're scared to show up. They avoid their spouses. They avoid confrontations, which are needed in relationship. And what we do, and what I've learned for myself, and what it has done in my life, which has absolutely transformed my life, whereas I'm not afraid of confrontations.
Wow.
I'm much less afraid of feeling my feelings. And there are many times where I'm feeling anxious, even till today, where I'm okay feeling anxious. And why do I do that? Because I want to be with the anxiety. I want to be with it and get comfortable with it and know it and not be afraid of it, because feelings are part of who we are. Feelings have such a gift to give. And I think what people need to find out, and it's not just something I could tell you an answer overnight, but people need to understand how to harness those feelings, because those feelings are gifts. Anxiety is a huge gift, and people don't know how to process the anxiety. People don't know how to show up at home and be a good husband. And that's where the struggle is. That's really where the struggle is. Because if you had a home to go to, if you had a place where you loved going home and you loved talking to your wife and your wife loved talking to you and you were in relationship, you would take on the world. There's nothing that could stop you.
Yeah.
You're powerful. It's a very powerful place to be. And that's something that I resonate with a lot. Dealing with anxiety and relationship, that to me is probably my two biggest passions in life. So there are three reasons why people come to a workshop. It's marital. There's something stuck in the relationship. There's resentment. There's anger. There's fear. People are struggling with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with their anger. They don't know how to deal with their anxiety. They don't know how to deal with their sadness. And the third reason why people come to the workshop is they want more from life. There's more that they want, and they're looking for tools. They're looking for something more. And I think, to me, that third reason is the best reason to come, because it actually encapsulates the first two reasons also. I'm looking for more is a real drive that I've always had in life. I want more. When I started these workshops, when I started going to these workshops, there's something that really clicked into my brain. I am not settling to live the life that I was living. I wasn't happy. And I told myself, I am changing my life. We are changing our lives. And my wife and I went through a lot of struggles and a lot of pain, and we still deal with things, and we've just gotten stronger and stronger from it. And the workshop has really helped me navigate all these struggles.
Well, I'm looking forward to attending one day. You actually wanted me to come to one.
Yes.
Hey, which are the three things, like, well, I guess not the marriage.
We get hurt in relationship. There was an expectation. My father was supposed to show up. My mother was supposed to be there for me. And when they weren't, or they screamed at me, or they punished me, or they didn't, I was wounded. There was a wound. So if I was wounded in relationship, then I need to heal in relationship. And what happens is, as we grow up in life and we we become a teenager and we're single, we don't have attachments, we don't have a wife to come home to, a lot of the stuff that I need to work on won't show up yet, because there's nothing mirroring back to me and nothing reminding me, hey, there's stuff that I need to work on. But when I get into relationship, when I get into a marriage, the partner, my wife, will start mirroring back to me what I need to work on. It will automatically show up in relationship. Everything, all my triggers will automatically show up. So my wife will show me, not because she wants to, and not because she's trying to. It's because that's the flow of life. And the way people used to deal with things was, this is who I am, too bad, my way or the highway, take it or leave it, and we're stuck in relationship. So a woman would have to sort of come to terms with, this is my life, this is my husband, and there's nothing that can happen. But over the last 30 years, there's been a real renaissance, there's been a real change in the world where people are going to workshops, people are doing more personal growth. And now people are not settling for life anymore. That old way of settling, we're not settling. So this is real abundance, is not settling for life. It's saying, I want to love every moment of life. Even when I'm feeling anxious and I'm going through an anxiety attack, I still love life. And that's what we do. That's what we're trying to master.
Wow.
Historically, think about this, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, there was a village, and the men in the village would make sure that the village was taken care of, and they went out to work and build the village and provide for their families. And at the same time, they were facing different threats or different personal threats or challenges within the community and within their own personal lives. And so the men would get together. And when they got together, there was a meeting of the minds where people would get fully vulnerable and they would talk about their issues. And women would also get together. And the men would do men stuff together and the women would do women stuff together. And there was a space, there was a sacred space for men to come together and get vulnerable and work through issues. And that sacred circle has been lost in time, where people don't work through things. And it's not therapy per se. It could be very therapeutic. And what we do on a workshop is we create that sacred space for men to be men. You know, I think the definition of what we've made of men over the last 100 years has really been changed and twisted into what a man really. The definition of a man is that he's a vulnerable person. The definition of a man is that he's sensitive and caring and loving. That's what a man is. Think about it. A man needs to make sure his family is safe. Well, how is a man supposed to make sure his family is safe if he's not sensitive and loving and caring and he could smile?
Yeah, well, men are people, so they have to be all those things.
They have to be all those things. And at the same time, they also need to go out into the world, and they sometimes need to put on angry faces and tough faces because they need to protect their families. Sometimes they need to go to war. So the men live in two worlds. They live in this world where they need to shut down their sensitivity and be war machines or protectors or safety people. And then they need to go home and be a different face and different personality to the family. And that's something that men need to learn together in how to achieve that balance.
Yeah.
What is that balance? How do I show up to the world? And how do I show up to my family? And how could I do both? So men need a space. And it's a very, very masculine and powerful thing for men to get together in a circle and open up and talk about our challenges. Because when I talk about my challenges, and I talk about how I'm struggling with my anxiety, or I'm talking about how I'm struggling with my finances, or I'm talking about how I'm struggling in my relationship with my wife, and men can hold space for me and show me and literally hold space for me to learn the tools and how to get through these things, that's such a sacred experience, not just for me, but for the people in the circle. Because now they can learn from that experience. Like they could think to themselves, oh, wow, so he did this in relationship and that was a game changer for him. I could do that too. Or they could be inspired for themselves to get vulnerable. Vulnerability is power. When I'm really in my body and feeling, like everybody thinks that's a woman thing. Yes, women are stronger than men.
Mm-hmm.
Women are stronger than men.
Whoa.
So they are. So imagine being a man and tapping it into vulnerabilities.
Huh. So women are stronger than men because they're vulnerable?
They have that there's a willpower that women have that is stronger than men.
Whoa. That's
not
for them.
Physically, but there's something that a woman has, this amuna, this belief in things.
They have like a bina, nekeva, whatever.
Yeah.
Women powers.
Yeah. And we need to tap into that. And if we could tap into that, being a man, and also tapping into the feminine power, it doesn't mean we're less masculine. It just makes us even more powerful.
Yeah.
I have a mentor that says that most sicknesses in the world, people getting colds, people getting cancer, God forbid, people having all sorts of illnesses, is because of trapped emotions. And the world is figuring out a way how to start letting go of these trapped emotions, which could actually help you physically. And men, and Jewish men in particular, we have things. We've been brought up in communities where the community told us we have to be a certain way. We've had teachers and we have had people in our lives that have not necessarily been great mentors to us. So we have struggles because we put our trust into them. And now that I'm grown up, I'm a man now, I'm married now, we're struggling with things. Men are struggling with in their relationship. Married men are looking at pornography. Married men are addicted to things. They're addicted to drugs and they're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to many things and the hardcore drugs. And as men, we need a brotherhood. We need to have a circle, a safe space where instead of going to drugs, where instead of going to very addictive, damaging alternatives or solutions, what if I could get together with other men and talk about these things where there's no taboo, where there's nothing that we can't talk about? And there's men that I could resonate with. There's men that can hold space for me as I'm going through the struggles and facing my demons in life. And that's a space that we've created at Anochi.
Yeah, I remember one thing, like for me coming for the first time, I found that kind of like off. Like I didn't know everyone was going to be so vulnerable, and it was the first time I ever showed up. So I think if I went more to Pardes, maybe like I would open up more, but it was my first time and I didn't really know anyone. And like, yeah, we were going deep. When I was at the session, I just remember it being really intense. Like Adam was bringing up really like childhood, hardcore emotions about like my parents. And I wasn't going to like just share what I was feeling because it was intense and I didn't really know anyone there. So
yeah.
I think it's something you have to go a lot to get more comfortable with everyone there.
Yeah.
And I could tell like it was working for a lot of the guys. They loved it. My favorite part was when we were laughing for 40 minutes. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love laughing. We haven't had a good laugh in a long time.
I've never known a concept like that existed. Like,
wasn't that amazing?
Nothing was funny, but everything was hilarious. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Unreal.
And that's what's feeling the full range of my emotions. A lot of people, they laugh, but their range of laughter is right here. What if your range of laughter is this big?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was insane.
And you're laughing, and and you know how therapeutic that is for you. You know how beautiful it is for you to because when you laugh, you're naturally breathing, and you're breathing into your body, and it's dumping out. Literally, toxins are coming out of your body when you laugh. It's the same thing like when you cry. When you cry, you're releasing things. You're releasing trapped emotions.
the workshops and everything, it's really secret, like the secret meetings of men in the villages. But explain, like give it like a little teaser so people can understand what it's like what you do.
Yes, I think the greatest way to explain it, and we were learning this concept last night, is we want to be able to get back to a place of how we can feel good about ourselves, about who we are. And if you look at the Torah describes like actually a cool progression of the Torah is a blueprint. It's a roadmap for life, but it's not something that happened in the past, because if it's happened in the past, then what's the relevance of today? So we sort of have to look at the Torah as our guide to our own life in just a storybook form, which is God's trying to convey a message to us. He's giving it to us in somebody else's form, even though I'm Adam and there's Adam Harishon, which I'm going to talk about. But the idea is that I want to be able to use the Torah in a way to guide my life.
That's so awesome.
So what we teach on the workshop is how to make that message practical, that I'm really connected to it. So the Torah's or success, I believe, leaves clues. The Torah's left clues about it. It's not always so clear about what the message is. But if you look at the progression of life, who was the first man?
Adam Harishon.
Right, Adam Harishon. Mm-hmm. And it says that when did he get life? Like when did life become real for him?
When Hashem breathed it into his nostrils.
So he breathed life through his nostrils. So life happened. The first interaction, and we see that with how we're born as human beings, is our first interaction with life is breath. Right? You come out of the womb and there's a breath. And where did he breathe?
In Gan Eden.
In Gan Eden. So breath equals, in a certain sense, Gan Eden. We're getting somewhere.
Okay.
What was the first disconnection to Gan Eden?
The sin.
The sin.
Yeah.
And then what happened was Adam Rishon felt something. He felt a feeling. Call it shame. Why? How do we know that? He put on clothes. At that point on, he had to put on clothes. He had to dress himself because there was a shame about him, which means the first disconnection from Gan Eden is a trapped emotion. What's the largest trapped emotion that exists and affects us the most is shame. You see that when we were kids, when we had no shame, we would just go and do everything that we were doing. We'd be a kid, we'd be dancing, then we'd be screaming, and then we'd be angry, and then we'd be loving. And you see kids, they go from emotion to emotion, experience to experience. It's like almost an infinite expression. There's no limits on who they are. Mm-hmm. The first moment that they have this limit where they feel like they can't be themselves anymore is actually the moment that they stopped breathing.
Wow.
And what happened is someone shamed them. They became really aware of themselves, and then the breath stopped. I need to stop breathing into that moment, because that's the moment that the infinite being of who I am got limited, got stuck.
Why would Hashem want that to happen to us?
So why he would want that to happen to us, you could say that the whole mission of creation is to go into this place of oneness, of this infinite presence, to go into individuation, or to become a somebody. I have to have self-awareness. I have to be conscious of myself, which is unfortunately happens through shame, or when someone points a direction and says, you're this, or you're that, or you're not this, or you're not this, or stop screaming, or stop being that way. That's the moment of shame. Adam Harishon went through that. What did you do? You ate from the tree. That moment of where we screw up in order to find a certain process of coming back to who we really are. We have to go into a place of disconnection. Everyone experiences it. They need to go through trauma. They need to go through a process that shames them and makes them feel really stuck to the identity of this is who you are. That existence feels very real. And then you need to, with the existence of who you are, you need to come back to the level of the oneness, the Gan Eden experience. How do we get back there is the question. How do we feel connected to that Gan Eden experience? Breath. So one of the tools that we teach on the workshop is to get people breathing again. When people got hurt and traumatized in life, or shamed, like Adam Harishon, or everyone goes through that in their own personal life. Because remember, the Torah, going back to that concept, is a storybook talking about your blueprint for your life. So now it has to be relatable. Mm-hmm. So how do we make that relatable? We have to get people back into the most primal force of their life, which is the breath. the thing that happened before we were born, the thing that vivifies us, that gives us life. So one of the practices, and it's really big today, it's called breath work. Well, we've been doing breath work for over 11 years. And we've been practicing that. And now it's really starting to pick up. What breath work does is it allows you to, with the breath, using the breath, get back to a place of Gan Eden. I mean, there's no other way of describing it.
You breathe into Gan
You
Eden.
literally breathe. And what you're going to meet along the way is all the trapped experiences, whether it be the limited thinking that I have, whether it be the trapped emotions that I have experienced throughout my life, the traumas, the hardship. And it says I can go through all of this because when I'm living from a place of Gan Eden, so I can face everything. Because I can see that life, the source of life is bigger than all these limits that were placed on me. So the breath is one of the tools, and teaching it in that way, people can understand and realize that breath is one of those tools that can help people work through the stuckness in their body. And you find today that the most successful and the most talented people have the best breathing patterns in the world. They do.
Interesting.
Athletes. You have it with
musicians,
The
billionaires. They probably breathe differently.
Yeah, they got to breathe differently. Right? They got to breathe differently. So people in the army, people that are the highest level of martial arts.
Yeah.
You need it for those type things, but we all have our own personalized things that we need to be heroes at in our own lives. And we need to be able to use our breath to be able to help us to show up to life's stressful events. So for a soldier, it's going into war. But for a regular person, it's walking in the doorstep of my house and having to deal with all these different things coming at me. And I need to be able to stop, pause, breathe, and show up to life as it comes to me.
Yeah.
So breathing is one of the biggest things that we teach, and what it shows someone is it's readily accessible, it's available, it's yours. You own it. You don't need to do anything outside of you in order to attain the level of life that you want besides breathing. That's just one of the tools that we're going to teach on the workshop. We help people. I know it sounds funny because everyone breathes, but the respiratory system works automatically. It also can be manipulated, which means there's a power in it that we have to be able to harness. And when we can do that, and we can use that, what ends up happening is you have major, major transformations just through breathing. And it's not that something you can understand, because breathing actually takes you above the limits of your mind. Because my mind says what you have seen is what you will continue to see. It keeps you limited and trapped in only being able to know what you currently know. So I have to go to a place, which what breath does, before the knowing. Remember, before Adam Rishon knew himself, he lived without shame. He was just being that kid that goes in life.
So do you think you live without shame?
No.
No?
I think that that's not even the goal necessarily, is to say that I'm shameless. It was like,
So we don't want to be like Adam Rishon before the sin happened, and he felt
we
shame.
want to live with a connection to the limited self and the higher self. We want to bring Gan Eden into the physical world.
Okay.
We want to fuse the two worlds. And how do we do that is we're even more than the breath. We're even more than Gan Eden. We're like spirituality and physicality combining. It's a crazy concept because they're total opposites. So how can they combine? I have to go to a place that's above both the parameters of those existence, which is the creator of both worlds, spiritual and physical. And that's what God is, and we have a piece of God inside of us, so therefore we can access that.
Wow. That's just a little taste right there.
So that's just like a little bit of Chassidus, but a little bit of the idea of breathing is very important. And if you notice what happens when you're breathing, like one of my mentors tells me the story. He used to be an X-ray technician. And as an X-ray technician, he would see the craziest things. And one woman came into him, and he saw on the X-ray that she had a tumor the size of a grapefruit in her chest, but it only popped up as like this little lump. But she wasn't aware of it, because you only aware of it once it like pops up on the surface, which is how most people deal with things. We're not aware of things until they pop up on the surface, they start affecting us. So he became crazy about wanting to understand his inside. So he would stay up late at night, like trying to feel, is anything going on inside me? And he became like this meshugana about knowing what was inside of him. And then he realized through all that, the breath can actually sense everything inside of you. So I can actually I can actually see disease or feel disease as it's coming or before it's coming, and I can help bring my body back to normal functioning levels.
Wow, that'll come in handy.
Yeah, so that definitely comes in handy. So I need to be able to be in touch with my body, be in touch with what's going on inside of me, because this is me thinking about life and thinking about my experience in life, and this is me feeling my experience of life. And this is the real part. And most people dissociate with that. And that's what Nachman was saying before. It's important to get back into feeling our feelings. Because if you don't feel the feelings, you're not actually living. You're just living in your mind about what you think is actually happening or what you want to believe is actually happening, but you're not living connected to reality. You know, meditation is a very Jewish principle. It's called hisbonenus.
Oh yeah, I learned all about it. I had a Breslov guy on the show, Shlomi Zients, and he was telling me all about hisbonenus.
Well, hisbonenus is when you go into isolation and you sort of talk to God. But hisbonenus.
Oh, I thought you said hisbonenus.
Yeah, no, which actually could
totally
be a
different
meditation.
thing.
One is going into isolation, like being together in a relationship with God, creating a sacred space for that. Hisbonenus is the idea of meditation. It's called deep thinking. What's deep thinking? Contemplation, meditation. I'm going into a deep place of thinking. We think 60,000 thoughts a day. Like that's what's going on. But how often are we stopping all those thoughts and moving forward and doing? A lot of people are doing. There's an idea of human doing. That's not what we're called. We're called human beings, is learning how to be. So in order to learn how to be, I got to be able to tap into my breath. So for meditation, what we use is the nose breath. Because what does the nose breath do? It slows everything down, brings a sense of calm. Generally speaking, and not always, but generally speaking, when you breathe through your nose, what you activate inside your body is the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is, there's fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. It's telling me to go and do something, right, or to shut down completely.
Parasympathetic, like calms you down.
Calms down. It brings you back to a sense of calm. So when we're in the most stressful environments, actually, it's better to breathe through your nose, because it's going to calm you down and almost give you a relaxing sense of I can deal with this, I can handle this. So we meditate. We want to go into a calming the thoughts. We breathe 20,000 breaths and we think 60,000 thoughts. That means our thoughts are traveling 3 times the speed of our breath.
Yeah.
So we breathe through our nose, we slow down the thought, and we can start to meditate. We can start to become aware of our breath. We can start to slow down thoughts, see thoughts. And what we're trying to do when we're meditating is to recognize what are those thoughts that are coming in all the time. What's happening? What are those repetitive thoughts? And learn how to actually detach from our thoughts and not become so attached, because when we become attached to our thoughts, we think we need to do something. We think we need to become something. And we need to learn how to just be. So meditation through the nose. So let's try it. So if you want to just slow down everything, and you just close your mouth and you're breathing through your nose. And notice what you feel in your body. And notice the sensations of the breath going in through your nose and how far you can take that breath in your body. Like, how far does it reach? Can you go through and scan your whole body with your breath?
Yeah, it feels way deeper.
Feels way deeper. And it's like slows things down.
Kind of like
calming.
slow, like calming.
Yeah. Now, when we
and I just did like 5 breaths.
Yeah, it's like, what did you do already?
Yeah.
And
I feel way more present now.
Yeah.
Wow, you're a wizard.
And the other type of breath is breathing through the mouth. Now that is going to activate the sympathetic nervous system usually.
Oh.
Now, the sympathetic,
Should we try that?
Yeah, so that's what we do in breath work, where we're doing that for like an hour straight, where we're breathing through our mouth, but it's circular. It's like, so try 20 breaths and just notice, and then we're going to stop the breath. Like they have this Wim Hof thing where they just like stop the breath and you just notice the sensations in your body. So try 20 breaths, 20 connected breaths. So and stop. And now just notice your body, and maybe your heart rate is a little bit elevated. You feel like your head's like a little bit dizzy. And it activated your body. It's like activating energy. It's like energy that's
I
building.
felt more amped up.
Yeah. So, because that's the emotional part. The emotional part is the passion for life. So, in order to get back our passion, sometimes in life, you need to deal with the trapped emotions that you have, because that's blocking me from my passion. If I don't process sadness, if I don't process anger, if I don't process fear, I can't get back to my joy, because it's blocking the tubes that lead us to joy. So when we do a breathwork session for a long time, emotions naturally tend to come up, not always, but they tend to come up, and we allow ourselves to breathe through them, almost like it, that we make this circular breath that circles and cycles them out of our system.
Neat.
And then we can feel calm again.
Wow.
So there is a time that we activate the sympathetic nervous system through the mouth, but most of the time you want to breathe through your nose.
Interesting.
So you're the younger generation, and you're not necessarily ready to do deep work on yourself.
Yeah.
Most guys in your age range aren't, which is normal because they don't have to be. It's really, a lot of times it's going to happen when you get married. And when you get married, because like Nachum was saying, stuff is going to emerge. My childhood unresolved issues are going to emerge because I'm going to see that mirror in my partner. But for a guy your age, which is so amazing what you're doing, is you're giving people that taste of joy. You're letting people like sort of jump over all the stuff, the stuckness, and experience joy. Like be in a moment, be present to the beauty and the gift of life, and how you could spread light and be light even in the darkest times.
Yeah. Because those little moments are like little moments of Olam Haba.
Yeah, for like the deeper cleaning where you can have more of that stuff that emerges. Guys like, I'm 40, you're 23, and we're in a different place in our life. But anybody could use this in the end of the day, because there are people that have really been through a tough life. But in general, it looks like you had a pretty good life.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. But who knows? Like, maybe it'll get rocky, but I feel like my wife will be awesome.
Yeah, your wife's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah.